Chapter 8. Just a Modern Renaissance Man. A Beautiful Intention. The modern Renaissance man, a person very able in knowledge acquisition and using knowledge, leading to an ever-deepening ability to master skills in a number of areas. Today, when I consider the choices I've made in life, I feel content, knowing that I followed a path that has been true to myself and rewarding. In the fast-moving, information-consuming world we live in, the path of least resistance has become the route of choice for many, as opposed to the Puritan work ethic that hard work will get you places. I happen to be a believer in both schools of thought. I'd say focused work and good decisions are values to be reckoned with. This is my model for working, to work on something until reaching its logical conclusion, tending to only focus on that thing until it's over and producing results. That thing I do may be practicing or writing a piece of music, preparing for a clarinet recital, working on the bass clarinet, the basset horn, contrabass clarinet, playing classical music, jazz, the soprano saxophone, recording on bass flute, optimizing someone's ability to perform as a peak performance strategist, being a personal growth model creator, grappling with slippery concepts, building networks of contacts, learning to code, being a super connector, becoming a valuable recording engineer, writing a film score, trading foreign exchange, analysing best performing stocks, passing a master's degree, an agent for luxury suites in an idyllic beach resort in Cape Verde, learning a new language, coming to terms with playing an unfamiliar system of musical instruments, being a social media expert, writing a book, devising a unique scale and harmony system, taking photos that rock, being an expert mind mapper, a catalyst for lasting change in people, building a reputable company, a very capable internet marketer, devising a financial growth model, or manually renovating a building. In the case of becoming good at multiple musical instruments, I'd say focus on one for years and years before taking up another. Yes, I can hold my head up high and say I've done exceptionally well with the resources at my disposal. On a level of values, I enjoy good health and vitality, aim to express warmth to people, deepen my ability musically each year, to be a positive role model, bringing on the youth, moving towards my critical net worth, to be a millionaire maker, to establish meaningful, lasting relationships with people, adventure, to improve each area of my life, and lasting happiness. How I foresee spending the rest of my days is by building Wellcline Records and its financial growth model, hosting and touring music and trading events, playing music, bringing on other artists and models, performing in and putting on concerts, trading, consulting, and having a blast. This is how I started. Born and raised in the East End of London on a council estate from a family who came to England on the tide of immigrants from the Caribbean, encouraged by the Crown to live and build their careers in the United Kingdom in the 25-year period after the Second World War as part of the country's rebuilding effort. New immigrants became bus drivers, worked on London Underground like my father's mother, worked in factories and in the building trade. My mother is from St. Lucia. My father is from the Caribbean island of Dominica, the nature island with 365 rivers, one for each day of the year. Known as a decent pace player among his friends, he played cricket on weekends, enjoys a good whiskey, a very handsome man with hazel eyes, and like my mother, supports Arsenal. My sister Judy has done well for herself, studied dance at Laban, like both me and my mother has a master's degree. She owned a thriving basement dance studio for 25 years off York Way, off Camden Road, and owns a few properties, including one in St. Lucia. Neither myself or Judy have children, even though it is on my agenda. She has an adopted daughter called Allegra, who's been brought up by her and my mother. Today, both my mother and sister live in large detached houses next to each other with adjoining gardens. As my mother is one of 9 siblings, I have cousins aplenty. Most of the extended family live further east in Canyon Town, Custom House, East Ham, like Danny, Amos, Claire, Lydia, Dawn, Kiki, Todder, Marilyn, Cammy, Paula, Francilia, and the list goes on. Growing up closest to Danny and Amos, our uncles would reward us if we could make a bike in a day. My primary school was Stepney Greencoats. I'm still in contact with people from there like Gerard Lee and Simon Dybel. The recorder was my instrument of choice there. My first job was in the milk round. I remember hating getting up at that ungodly time of the morning. In later years, I worked in North London's Suit Centre, men's couture, in stores in Stoke Newington High Street and Hollow Road as a sales assistant. Studying music at Stepney Green Boys' School, I found the right people to set me on my right path. I remember going to the music department as a newly turned 11-year-old and asking Miss Farrelly, the New Zealandish head of music, whether I can have flute lessons. You see, I knew what a flute was, a long silver thing with pretty keys on it. Having been told there were no more flute vacancies available, but there were still vacancies to learn to play the clarinet. I remember asking myself, what is a clarinet? Starting lessons the following Monday with Bunny Gould, with a second-year student, Kevin Reynolds. Kevin and I remain friends to this day. An entrepreneurial soul who these days is into artist management, more than playing the saxophone. Stepney Green Boys had an unusual mixture of kids, from brilliant genius types to those who would be front runners in a Millwall football club rampage. The school was big on sciences, and some boys left with as many as 16 O-levels. As with music, I excelled in geography, enjoying regular field trips to Dartmoor and Teignmouth in Devon. Also having excellent goalkeeping skills, I enjoyed playing football a lot. I was good at woodwork, and my teacher suggested shop fitting would be a perfect profession for me. A shop fitter? That made me laugh, knowing as far back as then it could only be music. Each morning, I would be there waiting outside the music department for the head of music, Sue Fallery, to arrive. Even before the head teacher would arrive, so I could practice. I'd be practicing in the breaks and at lunchtimes, being all about commitment to being good at playing the clarinet, excelling in rowing, sculling in particular. Many evenings and Saturdays would be spent from the River Lee rowing happily away. Learned sword fencing and judo. Other than being a music talent, I reckon the other reason I never got bothered at school was because I was a decent sword fencer. Judo wasn't really my thing, but later I trained hard in Shotokan karate at the North London Martial Arts Academy under Sensei Kingsley Johnson. There we had multiple sparring sessions where if you got hit 3 times in the torso, you had to sit down. The person who knocked you out would fight the person standing next to him or her, still standing. Usually I did very well. Towards the end, but only the very best fighters left, as no one wanted to get knocked out. It became a full contact affair. Being a good reader, I had the chance to rehearse with the National Youth Jazz Orchestra on Saturdays at the City Lit Institute conducted by Bill Ashton. Dave O'Higgins was in the band, and I remember playing second alto in the saxophone section with Nigel Hitchcock on lead alto. Other good times from this period of my life was playing all nighters at the London School of Samba led by Dave Batelli as part of their horn section. Playing the saxophone in Brazilian music at big parties in central London hotels with near naked dancing women with a big troupe of drummers. It was amazing. Moving to North London at the age of 15 years old, things changed a lot. My first girlfriends were from East London, Farouz, a talented pianist, and Margot Cargill, whose skills at playing Baroque and Renaissance music on the recorder was nothing short of wonderful. In North London, there were the Chasons living nearby. I'd say North London's equivalent to the Osbornes. Whether the move away from East London was a good move or not, I don't know, because the area I grew up in boomed in the following years, and I put a lot into East London musically. Canary Wharf sprouted from Docklands, and millionaires born in the area were made aplenty. To study for my A-levels, I changed to Pimlico School. There, my life changed a lot. Entering the special music course, which at the time was the only government-funded special music course in the United Kingdom, and a melting pot of raw talent. Kenneth McAllister became my teacher, taking me through to conservatory times where I studied with Duncan Nern. With Ken McAllister, I achieved 140 for my grade at clarinet. Considering the assessment is out of 150, it is like a distinction with honours, and I was angry at myself for the mistakes I made too. Unlike Stickney Green, where I had been the only person ever to get an O-level in music, Pimlico was groaning with incredibly talented young musicians, many of which went on to achieve great heights in music, like the Hussey brothers and Amanda Drummond. We had regular recitals, which were compulsory for everyone in the course to attend. I remember excelling in the recitals, in particular one where I performed the concertina for clarinet by Weber and the Darius Milhaud concertant. The Hussey brothers, Stephen, Ivan and Paul, were an unstoppable force, as they still are. And in recent years, cellist Ivan, alongside myself, bassoonist Fiona Troon and violinist Madeleine Easton, recorded my arrangements of solo guitar pieces from Villa Lobos and a little bit of improvisation. Also, recently, Ivan included me in Baroque Box, music he wrote for the Elastic Theatre, playing 21 performances for Greenwich Festival and a studio recording. Kate Ryder accompanied me for my recitals and all music college auditions, and was good too, but showed up late for my audition at the Royal College of Music, and I got out of sorts before the audition. Her boyfriend, Roger Redgate, is big news in the contemporary world, and contemporary clarinet player Andrew Sparling would show up at dinner parties. Once Roger showed me a score he'd written, and I couldn't make head or tail out of it. The contemporary classical clarinet and bass clarinet world is very interesting. Definitely an arena where most innovation takes place on the instrument, post Eric Dolphy, particularly on the bass clarinet. People like Harry Sparney and Henry Bloch in Holland having made a big case for the bass clarinet in contemporary music. Henry Bloch, as well as giving me a recital to do, he put my picture on the cover of the programme of the world's very first bass clarinet convention held at Rotterdam Conservatory. For me it was euphoric, a meeting of the world's best bass clarinet players from all over the globe. For me there was one situation of incredible coincidence at the end of my recital in Rotterdam. In previous years I entered into a deep relationship with a beautiful lady called Magdalena. We met in London, but she was studying in Poznan in Poland, and living in a small village about 30 kilometers outside Poznan called Puszczykowa. Puszczykowa was a remote place somewhere in the Velska-Polski forest. Incredibly unlikely you'd ever meet someone from there. Anyway, the place made an impression on me, and I wrote a polka called Puszczykowa to play on the bassoon. In Rotterdam, I played it on the bass clarinet in duet with guitarist Danny Berdichevsky. Can you believe it? After recital, two young people ran up to me, gleaming, and said in unison, "Hi, we're from Puszczykowa." Welsh composer Charlie Barber hired me on the bass clarinet to record and tour the music for his project Aphrodisiac. It was tough stuff, and I got into it. At the Riga New Music Festival Latvia, I met and shared a glorious regal room as a practice facility with Finnish contemporary clarinetist Kari Kaku. I was intrigued by what he was doing. Meeting again several years later in Assisi, Italy, at the International Clarinet Festival, we were both giving recitals at. One of the clarinetists I loved listening to the most was Gervais de Paya. Funnily enough, I met and hung out with his son for a while at a cafe called Bartok in Chalk Farm Road in North London. People I met at Pimlico formed the basis of some of my best friends in the years to come, and even till this day, also meeting a couple of very nice girlfriends there like Jane Cena and Pauline Rouse. Ben Mayers, James Riseborough became good long-term friends. James lived in Highgate, which was close to me. We formed an improvisatory group together with another school friend, Ian DaCosta, and recorded in a church in Notting Hill with an old pro-drummer called Gordon. James went on to Liverpool University to study architecture, even having success in music later on as well. Forming a bigger band, we played our first paid gig at Camden School for Girls to a set of excited young ladies. David Murphy taught us harmony, and an excellent harmony teacher at that. It was from there that I built the ability to compose based on Bach 4 parts. Also there was one clarinetist at Pimlico called Tamara Diakov, who later went to Guildhall to study. A very good little player at that. Her father Jan was a jazz record collector whose front room in his flat in Notting Hill was lined with mint condition records, many of which were collector's items. It was he, Jan Diakov, that really turned me onto jazz, and in particular the work of Rodolphe. Even though my teacher Barney Gould at Stepney Green turned me on to John Coltrane and Sonny Rollins much earlier. Jan really believed in me, and we would sit up analysing recordings of my gigs. Occasionally I would spend an evening with Jan at his Notting Hill flat, and it would be like one long jazz education session. He would put out some fantastic records. I listened to a lot of Eric Dolphy's music from then on, and transcribed his solos. It must have driven my friends crazy. Both myself and James caught the record collecting bug. We would hang out at each other's houses playing music and listening to records for hours. Cellist and designer Jane Sena lived on Delancey Street in Camden Town. I used to hang out with her and her father Colin, a celebrated artist, an avid music lover, and then a dean at Chelsea School of Art. It was Colin who later backed my application to Kingston University to obtain a master's degree in composing for film and television. Kingston University took me on a steep learning curve in engineering, and I cannot begin to tell you how many times I almost gave up, but I couldn't. I wasn't going to let Colin down, or myself for that matter. Another lasting friendship from those times was with Lucy Pollier. We went on a London School's concert orchestra residential course in Ipswich, and Lucy became a girlfriend. We still laugh together about who dumped who. Now, with 3 lovely girls of her own, Saya, Beatrice and Lottie, I try to show her support when I can, and she supports me too, occasionally too. My favourite of all the ladies from this period in my life was a totally awesome and stunning Danish girl, Lena Bodka. There was such a great rapport between us, and we loved doing things together. Everyone we knew thought that was it for both of us, and there could be no other, perhaps myself too, but it wasn't to be. This silly Billy, myself, got it together with one of her friends, Christina Nielsen, at a party the evening was holding, and that was that between me and Lena. Before I knew it, she was pregnant for another guy. We tried to meet recently in the island of Sult. Lena drove all the way from Jutland in Denmark to meet me, but there were ferry delays and unforeseen problems. Through Christina, I met vibraphonist Morten Grunwald in Copenhagen. He worked on some of my material, and I contributed to his megabeat suites, and we played around Copenhagen. Interestingly, my song Copenhagen Skies came into my head at our very first meeting at Morten's studio. How the song comes sometimes is very interesting. So, from Pimlico onto the Royal Scottish Academy in Glasgow, I had a ball in the first year and put a jazz quartet together called Jazz Academy with Andrew Gordon and Tom Gordon and sometimes bassist Andy Hamill, which was the basis of a lot of fun. To be honest, we sounded like beginners back then, but we had the intention to swing. My first girlfriend there was Gillian Cott, followed by a few others, including the beautiful metal sculptress from Newcastle, Lucinda Wilkinson. Gillian was from Guy, a talented cellist, very pretty with long frayed locks. She told me, with her I have everything, which is probably true, but I just wasn't ready or mature enough for that at that particular time in my life. Loving conservatory life, I excelled as a player, but I knew I would not be able to play the part expected of me. Heading for what seemed to be like an orchestral career, a student is supposed to step metaphorically into the shoes of the teacher, walk their walk, talk their talk, and hang with their types. But back then, I simply wasn't the right fit or ready for that. Knowing this for sure, one night at Glasgow Jazz Festival, when the Steve Williamson band from London performed, he had Julian Joseph and Mark Mendesi in the group with him. For me, that was it. Steve Williamson was who I wanted to be like. Steve had a wall going on, a debonair sense of style and chops to die for. Also hearing a quartet of tenor-man Tommy Smith with pianist Jason Rebello playing on it. Tommy at the time was a very strong player and into the Nordic style, playing like Jan Garbarek in Keith Jarrett's group. Other people I know of who have since led interesting careers from that time I was there were James Langton and Mark Crooks. In Glasgow I met some good people, among them Bruce Armstrong, an older guy, a very clever man and part-time musician who I looked up to like a big brother, and violinist Julie Reynolds. The conservatory thing didn't really work out. Having passed the clarinet exam, the piano exam, harmony, history, years 1, 2 and 3 of all in one sitting, it was the Scottish musical studies that got me. And I missed the resit as I was on holiday in Morocco. Soon I found myself back in London, gigging with groups like the Jazz Warriors, the Funk Ambassadors, Misty Roots, the Rocoto, and playing and writing for my own groups. The very first demo recording I made featured some original writing with pianist Jez Cobham, bassist Steve Lewinson, and drummer John Cowdes Jr. It was recorded at the Interchange, a community studio recording based in Kentish Town. Commitments as a teacher began spiralling out of control. There were private students, clarinet and saxophone, teaching at young music makers in clarinet workshops for Westminster Adult Education on Friday evenings at Quinton Kynaston School. One evening, the head of the school sat in on my workshop and asked if I would like to work during the day as a full-time music teacher, as they needed one. I agreed, and also took on a jazz workshop at North Westminster School and peripatetic work on the other two sites. There were also theatre shows I worked in and toured with, in particular 8 Misbehaving and Sophisticated Lady. This was around the time I recorded the album Groovin' a 4 with some talented London players, Andrea Vicari, Cheryl Elaine, Mario Castronari and Kevin Haynes. The press reviews were always favourable and impressive, from John Ford of The Guardian, Dave Gelly of The Observer, being dubbed the new host of the clarinet, and David's master of the bass clarinet is stupendous, etc., etc. And also from Jazz UK. Never really believed press though. A true musician of the contemporary world, as well as great reviews for my work in the Independent and the Times newspaper. The Guardian had me down as one of the young musicians most likely to succeed, along with pianist Julian Joseph and a few others. This same group toured on Reed Rhythm and Rap projects, featuring 3 bands from London, my quintet, sound advice from trumpeter Byron Wallen and Nitin Sawhney. It was a success with big concerts and lots of extravagant media coverage, including concert footage on the BBC. Funnily enough, in recent weeks, I've seen both Byron and Nitin on judging panels on television. Byron on the judging panel for Young Jazz Musician of the Year, and Nitin as a judge in Guitar Star. One time, I was in Hyde Park having a coffee with Mimi, a friend. Another woman interrupted that conversation, started talking to me and wanted to know more. She told me that her name was Nesta Ellis and was writing a book on Britain's top 100 eligible bachelors. And for some reason, she wanted me in the book. I didn't see myself as an eligible bachelor at all, but I went along with it. Ended up as number 48 in the book, alongside millionaires, billionaires, and zillionaires. As part of the launch, I was invited to appear on the Crystal Rose show with club owner Peter Stringfellow's Olympic ski jumper Eddie the Eagle Edward and Peter Davenport, who were eligible bachelors in the book. At the time, some would say Crystal Rose was Britain's answer to Oprah Winfrey. Unknowingly that day, Jeremy Beadle, his dressing room was next to mine. Surprisingly, I bumped into him as we both left our respective dressing rooms at the same time. Can you imagine the shock and horror I felt bumping into prankster Jeremy Beadle just before I was about to go on the television? Luckily, it had nothing to do with him, and the show was a blast. Life motored on, and I fell in love with playing the bass clarinet. By this point, I had largely left the classical world, choosing to work with London-based jazz players. There was not a lot of jobs, but the importance of the ones I had kept me on my toes in a very competitive scene. There were periods of playing in a jazz cafe in Camden Town regularly, tours to Cameroon, Singapore and Eastern Europe with the British Council, including some corporate work in Kuwait for Movenpick. Promoters like Nod Knowles saw my leadership qualities, and I was often positioned as the boss in projects I was involved in. The Righteous Reeds, Jasmine Voices and the Eric Dolphy project. My Dolphy project boasted a number of burgeoning talents such as Roland Sutherland, Ed Jones, Nicky, Yo, Byron Wallen, Tony Kofi and Winston Clifford. Nod as well was taken the position as my agent. He also played me in a duet with South African pianist Mervyn Africa, and occasionally in trio with steel panner Philip Janet Stewart from Birmingham. Out of all the musicians, I became closest to Roland, an exceptional flautist. One year, Roland was voted as best flute player in the world by a poll in Brazil. I played with Abdul Ibrahim and toured with Gail Thompson's Jazz Africa, which had a particularly memorable concert at Berlin Jazz Festival. The group included fiery alto saxophone player Gilad Atzmon, a newcomer then to the London scene, before anything he ever got to say. Byron Wallen had a funky project called the Tarot Suites that I was part of. He created a piece of music for each tarot card of the major arcana. This was around the time Jan turned me onto the music of American tenor saxophone player David Murray. His quartet had a week playing at Ronnie Scott's, and I got to know him. Instantly, having a rapport, he invited me to spend some time in New York City. There were a couple of very well-received UK tours with me as the leader of the UK posse and with David Murray as a guest. I wrote music for it, in particular the Euro-Carib Classicism Suite. It was based on a concept that stands true to me to this day, using European elements of music, Caribbean elements of music, and classical music, later creating the acronym EUREBA, short for New European Caribbean Attitude, with the following albums, Feeling Tones and EUREBA, stemming from this concept, both released on Candide Records. The interesting relationship developed with Candide, as owner Alan Bates shares the same birthday as me, as well as saxophonist Branford Marsalis. Alan would sometimes complain that David Jean-Baptiste is taking over my life, and his wife named this Bates too. The New Reba band was truly interesting, comprising of some young up-and-coming talent, Zoe Rahman pianist, guitarist Danny Berdichevsky, the immensely creative Venezuelan percussionist Williams Kombabachi, brilliant bass player, now based in Los Angeles, Yannick Visdauer, and drummer Nicolas Dier from Denmark. The launch party for the album Eureba was held at the Jazz Cafe in Camden Town. The CDs arrived at Candide on the day of the launch party. What a stroke of luck that was, and they sold over 50 that night. Candide included me in some of their compilations, Big City Grooves, which did very well apparently. Pianist Alex Wilson came through around this time. Sometimes we played together, helping me with Feeling Tones album. That guy became in such high demand, especially for his arranging skills. Everybody wanted him in their band. And sure enough, he was snapped up by Candide too. Another quintet featured bassist Alec Danforth and Richard Busiakovic and percussionist Richard Adjale, sometimes with pianist Jonathan G and drummers Kenrick Rowe or Frank Tonto. With myself, G and Kenrick and bassist Gary Crosby forming a group called The Five People as a backdrop for Mancunian poet Lem Sisse. My quintets were well appreciated and good. I had my picture on the cover of the program of the Old Bim House in Amsterdam for a month the time I played there. Having played the Bim House next to the Concertgebouw in Amsterdam on a Saturday night in recent years. Music has always been my thing, and in those days I learned NLP as well, obtaining foundation skills certificates and practitioner training from Pace Personal Development and Trainers Training Certification from Richard Bandler, Paul McKenna and Michael Green. The truth is, learning the Alexander technique created a burning desire to master myself. I remember Breen saying to me, "You have a very bright future ahead of you." I integrated some of my NLP work on the sleeve notes of 2 albums, which probably wasn't a very clever thing to do, as I haven't yet fully made sense of the NLP stuff. As part of corporate change work, I was invited to present music as a metaphor for change at the event hosted by the European Foundation for Management Development in Brussels. Pianist Julian Joseph invited me to play on a few of his projects, notably the big band which premiered at the Proms at Royal Albert Hall. I played in the big band for 20 years. Julian also had the Forum project I played bass clarinet in. Musicians included Christian Garrick violin, Ben Davis cello, and Owen Marshall tuba. Julian later wrote the music for a beautiful opera bridge tower based on the life of virtuoso violinist George Palgrave Bridgetower, son of an Abyssinian slave. Another high point was receiving a research development grant of £2,000 from the Arts Council of England to go to St. Lucia, Martinique to enjoy music and play for a bit. It was a great time, and the first time in my being at the Caribbean at that. Hiring a jeep, I climbed the hills to where I stayed in Melette in the rainforest in the centre of St. Lucia, to the home of my mother's sister Martha, who I'd met for the first time, and 2 of her children, Vernon and Kimberly. Her first son, Martin, lives in Miami. Also my grandfather, Wallagley, who I shot a video of. Kimberly is as sharp as a tack, very clever, and can read and comprehend a thick book in an hour. Later moving to New York City, where she works as a lawyer. In Fort-de-France, Martinique, I stayed with other of Mum's sisters, Frances, who has 4 attractive children, Neptuna, Cherry, Jason and Natasha. We booked at St. James's Jazz Club. I hired the informed pianist, Robert Toole. One time at St. Lucia Jazz Festival, I was approached by Gerard Kambona, a Tanzanian hotelier in St. Martinique. Kambona invited me to Martinique to spend some time and play, which I did, and many times after, it must be said. He even gave me a flat to live in for free. The beach in St. Anne is awesome, with Club Mediterranean at the far end of it. I'd be playing music, composing, rowing, jet biking, chatting up ladies. On the beach, there was a man named Jean-Jacques, who had a small beach restaurant, and together with Kambona, they get me fed. What a character Jean-Jacques was, an older man with striking features, zipping around on his bike. He would say to me, and regularly too, "I'll take your woman anytime." In St. Lucia, playing with musicians like tenor saxophonist Luther Francois, pianist Emerson Nurse, and steel pan player Alison Marquis, Alison looked so harmonious and in the zone when playing. At the time, Luther ran a restaurant bar in a national park on the north end of the island, which is truly stunning. There, Luther put on shows. It is the idyllic location of St. Lucia Jazz Festival and many people's place of choice to get married. Back in London, trumpeter Guy Barker told me he had seen me on television on the programme Wish You Were Here, and it was true. The camera team did film us. One time in St. Lucia, as part of the recording compilation Trois Pitons feature, put together by Darby Etienne, which included 3 tracks of mine for the St. Lucia Jazz Festival. The songs I contributed were Morning Metropolis, Deep Structure, which was one I wrote and recorded in Copenhagen with Morton, and Future Pace. Morning Metropolis was a flag waver for my live concerts, an up-tempo swinger that always got people going. Inspired by London town at 6 a.m. in the morning, as part of my daily bike run to the Strand Palace Hotel, where I worked as a breakfast waiter. In St. Lucia, at the festival, I met newsreader Joyce O'Haja and singer Desiree. Joyce became a girlfriend. I ended up spending time with her at her home in Plymouth, Devon, where she worked for Television Southwest. Joyce is attractive, very clever, and on quite a fat salary. People told me she's the pick of the cherries and that I should build my life around her. David, you 2 lovebirds made in paradise, one would say. This is sure excellent criteria to stay with a woman, but for me, there was still a lot more things to do than to settle down. Joyce was bemused by my point of view at the time that it is of no importance how much money one makes, it is what the man does that counts. A few years later, I was playing on a mundane gig at a celebrity event in London, and Joyce was one of the celebrities. Maybe she had a point.